I just had the weirdest dream ever. I was in this warehouse and there was this maniac in a yellow suit and he had an axe and he was chasing me, and it was like no matter what I could do, I just couldn't get away from this guy, whoever he was. He was in a mask and it was so weird, but it was so real. And we went up these stairs and he was right there, and as soon as I turned around, he just tried to get me and then I woke up.
Oh, that's terrible. You need this more than I do.
You alright? You look shook. It was just like one of those dreams where it was just so real.
Okay guys, so this is my edit of the horror scene. Again, the editor is the creative force behind the final product. The editor is the one that chooses how the final product is going to look like. So edits are subjective to the editor's preference. So my edit will look different than yours. It does not mean that mine is better than yours. It's just different. But I want to explain my thought process. So the next time you guys edit, you have a little bit more experience under your belts to go and choose and do different things. By the way, many of you did a phenomenal job editing this scene. There's just minor things that I would like to explore. All right. So the first thing to have in mind is that being on a horror scene, being a tense scene, everything needs to go really fast. Everything needs to be very tight. And that's why we don't really wait too much. And that's something that I saw some of you do. You're waiting, you're lingering too much in between the scenes. So I decided to start with this scene here, a guy, and then he cuts immediately to her popping her head out. We don't even need to wait for her to do anything. We cut back to the guy, and then he turns his head to his right, and we assume that because she's looking to the left and he's looking to the right, she saw her. And here is a little bit of a continuity. Head is turning, and you try to put the close-up scene where his head is somewhat on the same position, so doesn't look weird. Okay, that's called editing continuity. And we don't have to wait too long in the scene, and she's out, and I don't have her waiting. As soon as we cut to this, she's already running. I don't have to wait until she's out of frame. We cut to something else where he's already running, so everything is very fast. She's running, and I kind of sort of decided to leave the scene here. That doesn't look very real, but it's kind of fun. So they fight on the table, and immediately when she's not even out of frame, but we cut to something different, that she's already in frame and the guy's behind her. And then we go to the stairs. Many of you showed a long stair scenes where she goes up and then the guy goes up. Again, very fast. And here at the door, I cut to the place where she's already opening the door. We do not need to wait for her to, be there and then open the door. She's already opening the door, and she goes in and finds the locked door. And some of you spent like 3 seconds, which is a long time here, on her trying to open the door. It's all very, very fast. And now she's banging on the door, please. And the funny thing is that the guy's just standing there, not doing anything. But, it's so fast that we don't pay attention to that. And also the director of photography is right here, making sure that everything is in focus. And we don't see that because, we see her hair. And then she decides to fight him. And they're fighting for the axe, and I cut between mid shots and close-ups. So this is a good close-up here with the axe, and then they fight. And she finally gives up. And why do we hear some sound here? Because I probably have stuff here that I didn't mute. All right. Now it's muted and it's not going to bother us. And we go to the last scene where he axe her. Now, this scene here is interesting because if we click here on this clip, which is the scene here that he's axing her, and I still have something here turned on, so let me mute everything so we don't hear the sound of running around while we're scrubbing the footage. Let me see now. All right, everything is silent. Great. So this scene here, which is I decided to, he axes her and then it goes black, so to create more suspense. Actually, if we double click here and go to the scene, let me expand that. I actually marked here. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Review sequencing project. So if we right click here and select review sequencing project, which you're not seeing down here, but it goes to the original sequence, which is this one here. And I have a little check mark here. How do you put a check mark? You just whatever your cursor is, you can click on this thing here, which is add a marker, or press M on your keyboard. I put a marker here, which is this is where he is, the director is talking to him to put his axe very close to the scene, but it's a reverse scene. So let's play here and see what the director is talking.
Little somewhere in there. Yeah. Oops. There you go. And action.
All right. So why they decided to reverse this? Because he wants the axe to be as close to the camera lens as possible. You do not want your actor swinging a real axe towards your camera, because if he loses his position, if he loses balance, he's going to axe the camera, and you don't want that. So he decided to do that to make it a little bit more dramatic. I would actually put the camera on the floor and have him axe or reverse the camera toward the camera on the floor. That would be her point of view. Right now, the camera's kind of I don't know, a little bit off the ground. Anyway, so how do you reverse a clip? So you select this little, and as I told you guys how you select the clip, let's see here where he's going to start the movement, which is right here. So you say in and out. So this is the little portion of the clip you selected. You can just click here, drag video only, and you would drag this down here, and that's the piece of clip that we have. But then you right click on this clip here and say speed duration, and right here in speed duration you can see that we have reversed speed, and when you click reverse speed, it's going to reverse. So if I uncheck this, you will see now that it's the actual movement. He's going up instead of going down. So and also on speed duration, I made sure that it's 2 times the actual speed. Was just 8 frames, but I can say here, okay, I want it to slow down, which 50%, which will be a second. It's a very short one, but we'll see here that it's going to go slow now. All right, and if I reverse this, if I click here, speed duration, and say reverse speed, now it's going to go slow down, slow down, reversed. Slowing down, reverse, but I want this very fast because I want this to be a horror movie, not a I don't know what. So I'm putting 200% of the actual speed, and you see that the clip will shorten because now it's very fast, and that's what we had before. Boom. And I kind of timed with the music here, and I have more. Let's expand this here so you guys can see. I have the actual music here, and you can see that I put a marker here on the music to this is a boom that the music has. Let's unmute this and play it. Boom. And that's when the axe go down. If I had time, I would even put some sound effects of an axe chopping something here. And there is a thump here, which is on the floor. I would definitely put a sound effect of an axe chopping something here. All right, so that's that. Another thing that you may notice that I have an adjustment layer. What is an adjustment layer? An adjustment layer is something that you can create. And how do you create an adjustment layer? You come here to new item and you say adjustment layer. You create a new one. You put it into your footage. You extend this adjustment layer. How do you extend an adjustment layer? You just grab at the end of it and make it as long or as short as you want. But the point with an adjustment layer is that any color corrections that I make on this adjustment layer will follow through all the clips under it. So if I turn off my adjustment layer here, you see that everything is a lot brighter. But I wanted to make it darker because, again, this is a dream, this is a horror. You're not supposed to be seeing every detail. It makes it more interesting for the audience. And lastly, what I did also in this clip here, this is actually a GoPro footage here that they used. And I wanted to make sure that this GoPro footage, and let me turn off the adjustment layer, look as much as possible to, this is also a GoPro footage, this cinematic camera here. I do not know which camera they use, but this is definitely a cinema camera. This is not a cinema camera. So you can see that the details are, I know, a lot more contrasty and sharp as opposed to this thing here that has a lot of motion blur. This is cinematic. This is not. But we can edit this. I can actually turn off the lumetri here. And you see that it's, everything is bright and the colors are saturated. And that's not what this scene here is, which is somewhat dark and unsaturated. So we need to make some color adjustments to make sure that the GoPro footage looks as much as possible to the cinema camera. It's not going to be the same ever. But playing fast and putting an adjustment layer on top of everything, it kind of sort of helps things blend together. I put a green tint on the adjustment layer. How did I put a green tint? You come in here and you adjust this tint here towards the green. I could go all the way to a purple, but I put a tint. A green tint, it's very used in horror films because green makes people antsy when they see everything green. I'm not sure why, but it's the psychology of coloring. We will learn psychology of coloring on another opportunity. And I also decided to just go black and wait a second until she pops up from her bed. Many of you just have her dreaming there. That's not necessary. It kind of slows down the pace. And then I decided to use a close-up of the kettle. Here, I did the little trick. I have the kettle and the sound of the kettle steaming. And I decided to bleed the sound of the steaming kettle into the other footage. How you do that? You just right click on the footage and you say unlink, and then you have your audio separated from your video. So I can extend that into the other footage. Let me make this shorter here so you guys can see what I mean. So, and it phased out, and of course I do have the dialogue here. Let me unmute the dialogue, and I do have some music here as well, but I want to mute everything because I still want to explain and I don't want them to talking over me. I use a couple of close-ups here and there for cutaways. It makes it more dynamic. A lot of you just hang into the close-up or hang into the wide shot for too long. The idea is to move back and forth between angles. We want to engage the audience, and if you hang into one shot for too long, you're going to get the audience bored. One thing that happened is that she did not have a script. So she was just talking off the cuff and not very well per se. She doesn't look scared at all from her dream. But that's why it's important to have a script so the actors follow the script, so the editor has better ways to cut down the dialogues between the cameras. That's why a script is so important. But she's just, going off the cuff about her experience, and I decided to cut from a mid shot or a two shot to a close up, and she hands the coffee, but she's obviously handing the coffee with her left hand here, and on the other scene, which they didn't shoot a lot, she's handing the coffee with two hands. And how you notice that? Because of the angle of her shoulder. Here he's just handing with one hand, obviously, and here he is handling with two hands, which is not great, but this is what we had. Again, this is just footage for fun. It's not super uber professional. It's better than many things, and it's free. Yes, if you go to Scene Study, you can download a bunch of footage to practice. We will be practicing more of those. And there you go. This is my take on the horror scene. Yours is different. And we are going to be doing many more of those in the future.